816-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Tuesday night that finds the Florida Gators getting absolutely destroyed right now by the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia 51-35 over the number 3 ranked Gators at the half. Georgia has decided they're just not going to miss tonight, which is a pretty good recipe for success in the game of basketball. At one point, Georgia was shooting 71% from the field. They are 6 of 8 from three-point range. I don't know if that's terrible Gator defense, terrific Georgia shooting, maybe a combination of both. But the Gators have been told how great they are for the last, 3 weeks. Not tonight. They're getting absolutely boat raced right now. They're lucky to only be down 16. Georgia 51-35 at the half. We will keep you updated. If that isn't bad enough, the Orlando Magic are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, and the Magic are down 13 early in the first quarter. So that's what I got for you on a Tuesday night, 8:02 Eastern Standard Time. Gators down 16, the Magic down 13. So let's talk some Jaguars to get my mind off of the beatings that a couple of my basketball teams are currently suffering. The Jaguars in Indianapolis today at the Scouting Combine. Liam Cohen, James Gladstone both held court with the national media and the local media. In fact, Liam Cohen and James Gladstone both joined Frank Frangie here on 1010XL earlier today. We will play you some of their thoughts coming up in just a moment. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. We will go to the City of Angels. We will head to Los Angeles coming up here in about 15 minutes. JB Long is the radio play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, he's very familiar with James Gladstone. He's very familiar with Liam Cohen from their time in L.A. So we will talk with the voice of the L.A. Rams, JB Long, about the Jaguar new head coach and the Jaguar new general manager. That comes up in about 15 minutes. Also, Ian Valentino of the 33rd Team and A to Z Sports. You can follow him on social media at NFL Draft Study. Ian's going to join us coming up here at the top of the 9 o'clock hour from Indianapolis as we take a look at the Combine. We take a look at this draft class, and we certainly focus on what the Jacksonville Jaguars may do. 10 picks for the Jaguars in this year's draft, 6 of which are in the top 125. And, of course, they own the number 5 overall pick in round number 1. So it's basically all Jaguars all night. Also, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 will join us later on in the 9 o'clock hour. We're glad you're with us on a Tuesday here on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Well, I thought it was going to be a pretty big deal, and then I realized that it is indeed becoming a big deal nationally now as well. And that is the youth movement here in Jacksonville. James Gladstone, the Jaguar general manager, met the media here in Jacksonville yesterday, and he met the national media up in Indianapolis today. And the youth of James Gladstone is becoming somewhat of a talking point. It's not hard to go on social media. All you got to search is the name James Gladstone, and you will find a lot of people talking about how young the Jaguar GM looks. Yeah, he's a young guy. This is a young team as far as the coaching staff and the general manager. The youngest of any team in the NFL. A 34-year-old GM, a 39-year-old head coach in Liam Cohen. And they said a lot of things today. And I will play you some of those thoughts. They were both on with Frangie earlier here on 1010XL. We will play you the thoughts of Liam Cohen coming up here in just a moment. James Gladstone as well. But I got to tell you, it's a couple of press conferences, right? So I don't want to jump to any conclusion here. And the guy only got hired, 4 days ago, okay? He's been the Jaguar general manager for 4 days. But there's something about James Gladstone that I really like, man. I don't know if it's because he's not Trent Baalke. Maybe that in and of itself is the reason I really like James Gladstone. Maybe it's because he's not Dave Caldwell or Gene Smith or any of the other nonsense we've had at general manager for over a decade here in Jacksonville. That could very well be it. But I do think it's a little deeper than that. There's just something about him. I don't know, aura, I guess. Maybe that's too strong a word, but the way he presents himself, the way he answers questions, the vision that he's outlining for this team. Look, again, we're not going to have win-loss results for 7 months. His words are all we can go on. We'll be able to go on some actions beginning in 2 weeks with free agency. And then maybe at that point the narrative will change. Who knows? But I'm interested if you agree that I just like the guy. I mean, that's basically all it boils down to. I like the hire of James Gladstone. I didn't know who he was a month ago. I only saw video of him until a week ago. I hadn't heard the man speak in front of a live mic until yesterday. So maybe I'm guilty of, recency bias here. But again, it's not Trent Baalke. It's not Dave Caldwell. It's not Gene Smith. It's a different era here in Jacksonville with James Gladstone and Liam Cohen. It's a different time, different energy. And the way Gladstone has hit the ground running, the way Gladstone is answering the questions that he's being peppered with both yesterday and today, the vision that he's starting to outline, what he's saying as far as his plans for this team, you combine all that. And even the youth, I guess, the youth movement, how young he is, how young he looks up there. Combine all that, throw it into a pot, stir it up a little bit. And what do you have? You have a guy that I just really like, the message that he's delivering right now. I could be wrong. It would not be the first time, wouldn't be the last that I've been wrong. But again, we won't know that until September. We got 7 months to figure that out. But for the here and now, I am very pleased with the hire of James Gladstone as the Jaguar general manager. Very, very pleased. And we'll see what happens. We are 13 days away from NFL free agency. We are 2 months away from the NFL draft. Certainly a lot's going to change on the personnel side for this roster. But I like the vision that's being laid out by General Manager James Gladstone. You'll hear some of his thoughts in just a moment. James Gladstone was brought here to work with the head coach, Liam Cohen. Cohen joined Frank Frangie earlier today here on 1010XL. And Cohen brought up this point with Frank, and he also brought it up in Indianapolis with the national media earlier, that the guys they hired on this staff, Campanile, Udinski, Spencer Whipple, on down the line, there were competition from other teams to hire the guys that ultimately ended up on Liam Cohen's staff here in Jacksonville.
Every single one of our coaches that we hired had another place to go in the NFL. Every single one. So you don't just have a board of guys that you can just go and pick, right? You got to go compete to go get them. You got to go recruit. And we recruited against a lot of really good football coaches and organizations to go get the guys that we did. And it's a group of dynamic, hungry, tough, mentally and physically tough people that want to get this thing right, and they got a chip on their shoulder. There's a prove-it mentality here, and we all have it.
The thoughts of Liam Cohen with Frank Frangie earlier here on 1010XL. Cohen was also asked about the most important thing right now, and that is the relationship with James Gladstone.
It's very natural.
Yeah.
It is. It's a natural bridge. that has been formed. And I've been able to watch James for a little while now, right? We were in the same organization in different arenas within that organization, but we both kind of ascended in different ways, right? And I went into a different path. He stayed there and continued to learn under Les and under Sean and with those guys. It's such a natural bridge of that communication and collaboration that we talk about, which is really exciting right now.
And finally, Liam Cohen was asked earlier today here on 1010XL, what makes James Gladstone so good?
It's the elite communication skills. Like, he's so intelligent without making it known that he's one of the more intelligent guys in the room.
Great call. That's a great read on him.
You know, just he can communicate with a defensive line coach the same that he can go and communicate with the athletic trainer. I mean, he just has a great way about him, very unassuming. He's a coach's kid. He's a coach's son. He grew up in locker rooms. He grew up on sidelines. And, you know, those are things that I value personally and will ultimately help us with this whole process.
The thoughts of Jaguar head coach Liam Cohen earlier today here on 1010XL. He mentioned the relationship he has with James Gladstone going back to their time in Los Angeles with the Rams. Well, we're going to head to Los Angeles, California in the next 10 minutes. And JB Long is the play-by-play voice, the radio play-by-play voice of the LA Rams. We'll talk about Liam Cohen's time in Los Angeles. We'll also certainly talk about James Gladstone's time in Los Angeles. Looking forward to that conversation with JB Long, the radio voice of the Rams. He comes up in less than 10 minutes. They're back on the court for the second half in Athens. Georgia 55, Florida 40, 17:40 to go in the ball game. Again, Georgia is absolutely shooting the lights out of the ball. Florida trying to mount a comeback. Walter Clayton with a layup there. 55-42, Georgia over Florida, 17.5 to go in the second half. We will keep you updated. Back onto the Jacksonville Jaguars as we head to L.A. JB Long, the voice of the Los Angeles Rams. Let's talk Liam Cohen. Let's talk James Gladstone. And let's do it next on a Tuesday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
Best friends.
What an idiot.
They love each other. Like brothers.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Dan and Jeff. Mornings on 1010XL.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, black and red fish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and, of course, Jewington Creek Road.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but...
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
1010XL celebrates African Americans who positively impacted the First Coast. I'm RJ Saunders, and I'll share Black History Month stories with you throughout February. Black History Month on 1010XL is brought to you by Instant Keys and McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Boy, there has been so much going on with the Jaguars over the last 7 weeks. The NFL Combine going on up in Indianapolis, and of course NFL free agency is now less than 2 weeks away. The Jaguars finally do have a general manager, James Gladstone. He, of course, joins head coach Liam Cohen, both of which have ties to the Los Angeles Rams. And with that, let's go out to the City of Angels. JB Long is the play-by-play voice of the LA Rams, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. JB, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thank you for the invitation, and even more connections between the Jags and the Los Angeles Rams. It used to just be limited to like Maurice Jones-Drew, and I think Les Snead's starting roots there, but the tree grows ever thicker in very good ways. Looking forward to making that road trip to see the Jags in Jacksonville this year, too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, no doubt about it. And I want to talk to you about Liam Cohen, but first and foremost, let's talk about the new general manager here in Jacksonville, James Gladstone. Boy, very impressive. Again, he's been here for all of 4 days. He's already at the combine. I mean, that's obviously a late start, but we're uber impressed with him already, JB. What can you tell Jaguar fans about James Gladstone?
Well, selfishly, I'm just dismayed at losing him. He's been a good friend, a really interesting conversationalist, someone that I've enjoyed, bouncing ideas off of during off-season programs and training camps, and just gleaning little bits of knowledge, some that I can share and some that I'm unable to share, right? But that's kind of the privilege of being a part of the organization and working, tangentially with someone like James, who I've always just found really easy to be a fan of. And the Rams, as you well know, have this, this history now, this recent track record of being ready, willing, and able to promote people and give them opportunities, maybe before traditionally their age or their resume might say they're ready. But James, I think, was so instrumental and integral in the Rams' window of time here under Les and more recently Sean McVay, that I'm not surprised that organizations across the NFL are now trying to borrow from the Rams front office the way that they have for many years Sean McVay's coaching tree.
It's interesting. Every time that James Gladstone has taken the podium, either here in Jacksonville or up in Indianapolis, I mean, complimentary does not do it justice in talking about Les Snead and his wife, Kara. I mean, that relationship, JB, it seems that Gladstone had with the Sneads is pretty incredible.
Yeah, when I listen to him speak, it's hard not to see a lot of Les's influence and mannerisms and witticisms come through James. And he's a man unto himself. He's got a great young family. He's got a formative story of his own that stands apart from Les and Kara, of course. But we all have mentors and special people who have proved to be multiplying forces in our lives. And I think that relationship is certainly one. And I think it speaks highly of Les and, really the entire Rams structure, that they can be so promotional and happy for someone like James and really pursue those opportunities for their staff, knowing that it's ultimately what's best for the individual and eventually for the Rams ecosystem, even losing someone as talented and influential as James Gladstone.
JB Long is the play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Rams. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. JB, again, you have a better understanding of James Gladstone than we certainly do. A lot of talk about the 34-year-old aspect. This is a lot to put on a 34-year-old's plate. Do you think James is up to the task?
Yeah, I mean, I think 34 in football years, given the time that he's put in, the time on task, and the teams that he's influenced, is actually pretty seasoned. I think this is the right opportunity for him at exactly the right time. I think you could have made the case that he was deserving of more even sooner. But I'm happy for him in the situation that he's landed in. And look, the empowerment that he had within the Rams organization, the way that he was able to orchestrate, everything from their scouting process to their draft boards to their college free agent process, he's well trained. And I don't just mean that because of his mentorship within Les Snead's organization, but because of the real way that he got his hands dirty and built two NFC championship teams. So yeah, age is just a number, as we all found out firsthand here with Sean McVay, who was hired at 30 as the youngest coach in the National Football League. And not to draw too many parallels, but I think there's ample reason to believe that someone like James deserves that chance before his 40th birthday.
JB, final James Gladstone thought, then I want to move on to Liam Cohen. But we all saw the videos here in Jacksonville that I believe were on LARams.com regarding the draft last year and that meeting he held with all the scouts out there in LA. Unbelievably impressive. And you alluded to this earlier, but just for the Jaguar fans to reiterate, you think James Gladstone had a pretty significant impact in the Rams drafting processes over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I always looked at him, rightly or wrongly, as Les Snead's right-hand man, his kind of air traffic controller. Les is cut from very special, unique cloth, too. And I think to formulate the staff that he has around him took the right pieces to the puzzle to put together complementary skill sets. And I think James not only earned the trust of someone in Les's seat, but proved to be a really nice complement to him and allowed Les to build out his strengths, and so many others within that front office, from the analytics department to the pro scouts, the college scouts on the road, to make it all work. Your audience is probably becoming familiar with the unorthodox things that the Rams did, up to and including not even going to the combine anymore, the way that they leaned into the Super Bowl and some other sources of data points on these college players. I don't think that's possible without someone who is both forward-thinking and capable like James, and also can prove it with the results that the Rams earned through all of those processes. Their drafts, even with limited draft capital atop, the Thursday, Friday rounds, the way that they mined for veteran free agents, the way that they claimed players off waivers like Darius Williams along the way, all these subtle things that made the, excuse the expression, F them picks era of the Los Angeles Rams so productive.
Couple of more for JB Long, the play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Rams. James Gladstone comes to Jacksonville to join Liam Cohen, who they knew, obviously, each other during their time in L.A. Two different stints, JB, for Liam Cohen in Los Angeles. What are your memories of Cohen out on the West Coast?
Yeah, I'll transition into Liam by just making one more parallel, and that is, I think Sean and Les are one of the oddest of odd couples, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. It's been a real pleasure to watch their partnership. I don't think that on paper they're necessarily the two people, personality types that you would think would pair well together to produce football results, and yet they always have. And I'm hopeful that the same can be true of the partnership that the Jags have just formulated throughout their front office structure and even down to their field level coaches. So really optimistic. Liam has always been a really pleasant person to be around. I remember being on the 2021 Rams playoff run with the stop in Tampa Bay, with us kind of all assuming that given the success the Rams had, that Kevin O'Connell would be soon an NFL head coach. And I believe Liam was at Kentucky at the time, but he was on the sideline for that game between the Rams and Tom Brady's Buccaneers, a trip that would eventually take the Rams to the Super Bowl and the Lombardi Trophy. And I think we were all just excited, for Liam to be back in the Rams ecosystem. Unfortunately, that 2022 year was a dark one for the Rams. It was a really difficult, challenging one for Sean McVay personally. And so even though that didn't pan out the way that we had all hoped, I think it speaks volumes about Liam that he was able to essentially pick right back up where he left off and find this next opportunity so quickly, so well, and eventually become the head coach that I think everyone in the organization envisioned him having the potential to be. And I'll just land on this. I also think it says a lot about how well esteemed he is in Sean McVay's mind, that even after, they separated again for that second time, that watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what Liam did with Baker Mayfield in that running game was still something that I know Sean kept careful tabs on because of how highly he thinks of Liam and just how many parallels there are between how they see the game of football.
We're always talking about the Sean McVay coaching tree, or certainly been talking about that here for the last 6 weeks, and we're hoping lightning strikes again, because you look at whether it's Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor, Kevin O'Connell, all the offensive minds off that McVay coaching tree have had unbelievable success, and we're hoping the same thing happens here with Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. JB, in your opinion, why do people leave McVay's staff and have success as head coaches?
Well, I think probably the step in the process that gets overlooked is that he's such a good identifier of talent to begin with. Like, he hires the right people on the front end so that when they leave on the back end, these are already kind of the upper crust of the football minds that he targets. Now, I don't just mean that in terms of X's and O's scheme, though that's certainly a component. But I think Sean's superpower has been and continues to be his interpersonal communication skills, his ability to deliver candid critiques in a way that people find trustworthy. And so I think there's that through line, that commonality between the coaches that he hires and the success that they have after their brief or sometimes extended stint in Los Angeles, because they were already self-selected to be someone that Sean McVay is drawn to. And if Sean McVay is drawn to you, if he's willing to put his trust and confidence in you, I think that already speaks volumes about the caliber of coach that you already are or have the potential to be, and Liam is certainly a great example of that.
Final moments, JB Long, the play-by-play voice of the LA Rams. It's interesting, JB, you look at the coordinators that Liam Cohen hired. Grant Udinski comes over from Minnesota, where he coached with Kevin O'Connell. Anthony Campanile comes over from Green Bay, where he coached with Matt LaFleur. So this new Jaguar regime, you add Shane Waldron into the mix as well. I mean, it has LA Rams ties all over the place. It's the ultimate form of flattery, right? To try to be somebody that you emulate. And look, it looks like the Jaguars have found someone in the Los Angeles Rams that they want to try to be like.
Yeah, I think that's all true. Familiarity can breed confidence, but I think it borders on the right side of avoiding kind of the group think. I don't think anyone in Liam's orbit walks into their new task in Jacksonville saying, because of where we come from, because of the language we speak in this world of football, that we're going to have the same success that the Packers, that the Rams, that the Cincinnati Bengals have had just because we've been a part of this cocktail, right? But I think what they're trying to do and the urgency with which they're trying to do it, when you bring in a new general manager and pair him with a coach here in deep February, basically on the eve of the combine, do you need that familiarity, that continuity, that shared language to skip ahead a few steps in the process? Potentially. And maybe that will help them, achieve the quick results that I think have characterized this coaching tree, right? It's not just the success, but the rapidity with which they've found that success, that urgency that I know fans in Jacksonville are really desperate to see.
JB, final question. A lot of Florida State fans listening right now. Boy, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, what rookie seasons for those two young men.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, Jake and his team really played a leading role in that, right? It's an unorthodox thing to do, to take basically two players in the top 40 from the same defense. But that's how special that Florida State team was. And I think that's, peeling back a layer to the onion of their process, that they believe that those two players would bring out the best in each other because they've done enough homework to see how even in a limited tenure in Tallahassee, they competed with and brought out the best of each other in a very competitive environment, and hope that, Jared Verse would have been an NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year on his own in Los Angeles. But the way to almost clinch that or guarantee that he would have that opportunity is to bring in someone like Braden Fisk. So they've both been dynamic additions to the Rams, rebuild on the fly, if you will. And I think to go from having the greatest player in franchise history for a decade in Aaron Donald, and to send him off into retirement and get better year over year in the pass rush and on defense, I'm not sure what higher praise I could offer those two former Seminoles.
JB Long, the radio voice of the Los Angeles Rams. JB, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We always appreciate it, pal, and we'll do it again soon.
Well, as always, here deep in February, I wish I was busier, but it's going to be a long wait until football season. But, it's a lot of fun when you got a new coach and a new regime. So I admire the offseason that the Jags fans are going to enjoy and look forward to seeing you whenever that schedule lands.
1010XL is your home for Jacksonville University basketball.
The Dolphins dance into the final regular season game against the Hatters for senior night at Swisher. J.U. Stetson, tomorrow night at 7 on 1010 a.m.
When it rains, it better drain. If storm drains on your commercial property aren't doing their job, this is a major liability that needs to be corrected. Call Duck Duck Rooter to have your storm drains jetted and cleaned with our powerful vac con truck. We'll clear the way for better drainage. Call 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Duck Duck Rooter, your fully insured certified plumbing and underground utility contractor.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case, plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the King of Beers to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court: the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or matt-jacksonville.com.
The Frangie Show will be live from the new Duo Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road this Thursday the 27th. Join us for their happy hour from 4 to 6 with food and drinks inspired by the Mediterranean. Plus, your chance to win Duo gift cards.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Attention homeowners, Chelsea here. For a limited time, Renewal by Andersen is making it easy to upgrade your home during our free window month. When you buy 4 windows or patio doors, you'll get 1 free. Our exclusive Fibrex material delivers the perfect combination of energy efficiency, durability, and style. Perfect for your home makeover this season. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Restrictions apply. See website for details. License number CGC 1527613.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and my knee was getting worse, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia Demo Truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. After Dark on 1010XL.
20 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. Glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Back into the Jacksonville Jaguars in just a moment. The Gators trail up in Athens against Georgia by 13. They're just not the better team tonight. You know, it's funny, too, and I'm trying not to offend people, but I do get a kick out of this. You don't have to watch a Gator athletic event. You don't have to watch it at all. All you have to do is be on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And as soon as you figure out that every Gator fan on there is complaining about the officials, you know they're losing in whatever sporting event's going on. Because as I've said, Florida never loses a game, right? They haven't lost a football game in a decade. And they haven't lost a basketball game in 20 years. It's never they lose. It's the officials' fault. Never mind the fact that Georgia at one point was shooting 71% from the field tonight. Never mind the fact that Florida has missed 10. That's 10 free throws. Or never mind the fact that moments ago, Florida had absolutely no idea that the shot clock was winding down and didn't get a shot off. It's still the officials' fault that Florida is losing, according to some of their fans. I always get a kick out of that. Look, I'm for criticizing the officials as much as anybody, but Gator fans take it to a new level sometimes, man. You're just not as good as Georgia tonight. Now, could a miraculous thing happen in the next 8 minutes? I guess. I tend to doubt it. Georgia is outplaying you. Georgia is better than you tonight, and maybe this will be a good thing for Florida. Because, again, for the last 3 weeks, they've been told how great they are, myself included. I said they're phenomenal, one of the best Gator teams ever. And this is a reality check because they are getting out-physical, they're getting beat, they're getting pummeled. They're actually lucky to be only down what they're down right now. So we'll keep you updated, but it is not the officials' fault that Florida is losing tonight. Florida is losing tonight because the Georgia Bulldogs are clearly the better basketball team. At least they have been for the first 32 minutes of this game. Back into the Jacksonville Jaguars, Ian Valentino of the 33rd team, A to Z Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at NFL Draft Study. Look, when a guy's handle is at NFL Draft Study, the guy knows a thing or two about the draft. Ian's been covering it for years. He's up in Indianapolis. He joins us coming up here in less than 20 minutes to give his thoughts, not only on the Jaguars, we'll certainly talk about them, but on the draft class as a whole, the draft class at large here in 2025. Of course, James Gladstone was introduced to the media here in Jacksonville earlier yesterday as the Jaguar GM. Was back at the podium today up in Indianapolis, and he joined the Frangie Show here on 1010XL earlier this afternoon. And Gladstone, on with Frank, was asked why Jacksonville and why now is the good time for him to become a general manager.
I think there's a lot of variables to that. I think, Les's understanding of the shifting dynamics amongst the leadership group there and knowing that mirrored the same thing that exists in Los Angeles, I think along with knowing Liam Cohen on a personal level and that he and I complement each other well, also played its part. And so I think those two things were probably what weighed most. And I think, it's not something that Les and I ever discussed previously. It was an organic, hey, I think this is probably the first one that has shown itself where, it could be successful, and would never raise my hand to say that you should attack it unless I thought it was.
James Gladstone on with Frank Frangie earlier. And to that point, we hear the word collaboration. I have heard the word collaboration, and I have said the word collaboration more in the last 24 hours than I probably have in maybe the previous 24 years. It's all about collaboration between James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli. Well, James Gladstone talked about that and the alignment he needs to have with head coach Liam Cohen.
It is critical. And I think, my experience in Los Angeles had only reinforced that, right? Seeing Sean and Les operate the way that they did. And by default, because of Liam and I, we both have the same roots.
Yeah.
So by default, we're aligned on a lot of what we value. And there will be arguments along the way in terms of disagreeing on, having watched a player separately and not necessarily viewing them through the same lens. But, at the same time, all we have to do at that point is sit down together, turn on the tape, start talking out loud one play after the other, and we're going to find a bridge, find a way to connect the dots. And, I really look forward to that because just getting to work is where you build the connective tissue that makes it all go.
And then finally, and I made this point late last week and again last night. Look, the Jaguars have lost 18 of their last 23 games. All right, let's not sugarcoat that. They're 5-18 in their last 23. I hear a lot of people saying, well, this isn't a rebuild. It's more of a retooling. Well, I don't know about that. Because, again, when you play 23 games and you lose 18 of them, to me, there's a significant problem there. When you have the worst defense in football, that's a significant problem. And you can say, well, Hacker, they had injuries. Okay, you're right. But the last time I looked, that was Trevor Lawrence out there in a 47-10 beatdown at the hands of the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. Trevor wasn't hurt in September when they went 0-4, right? I mean, there are problems. Now, there are some positives as well. Trevor, Brian Thomas Jr., Trayvon Walker, Hines Allen among them. And James Gladstone was asked about that, about talent the Jaguars have in key spots.
Yeah, there's some talent in some key spots, and that was one of the things that was most exciting, most alluring about this opportunity. And we're meeting with our coaching and scouting staff this week to discuss not only our roster but also pro free agency. Yeah. And can't really wait to get into those conversations. We started them this morning. Took a break here for Media Row, but really looking forward to getting back.
Yeah, and you got to hit the ground running. Again, we're 13 days away. You can negotiate with free agents on Monday, March the 10th. You can officially sign free agents on Wednesday, March the 12th. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, pen can meet paper on these NFL contracts. And when it comes to the Jaguars, a couple of things you got to figure out pretty quick, and that's Christian Kirk, right? Not that he's a free agent, but you could save more than $10 million if you release him. But can you upgrade there? You know, the relationship he has with Trevor. The problem with Kirk, it's really, there's a problem, but there's a silver lining. He has missed back-to-back years with injuries, or portions of the year with season-ending injuries. But it's not as if it's a ruptured Achilles, right? It's not a torn ACL or a broken ankle. He had an abdominal issue, and then he had a broken collarbone. His lower body, his leg, his Achilles, his ankle for a 28, 29-year-old wide receiver is probably pretty good. So that's the silver lining. The problem is, again, back-to-back years or portion of the year, he has gone down with injury and missed a good chunk of the season. He also is not exactly cheap. He costs some money. But I made this point with Hayes Carline last week. You know, Brian Thomas Jr. was good last year for basically the entire year. But he was really good in the last 6 or 7 games. And why was he really good in the last 6 or 7 games? Well, they started actually throwing him the football. They started force-feeding him the football, which is something they did not do in the first 2.5 months of the year. But Brian Thomas Jr. in his really good action, which was the last 6 or 7 games, no Gabe Davis, no Christian Kirk. They were both out with injury. We did not see a really, really good Brian Thomas Jr. with Gabe Davis and with Christian Kirk on the field. That's an intriguing point. That would be a reason to bring Christian Kirk back. And then you heard Liam Cohen today say, we're going to run our passing game through Brian Thomas Jr., certifying that the wide receiver 1 talk that we've had here in Jacksonville year after year after year, off-season after off-season after off-season, has been officially put to bed. Brian Thomas Jr. is the wide receiver 1, and with he taking pressure off of Kirk, could that allow Kirk to flourish as a complementary piece to Brian Thomas Jr.? But you got to make a decision on Kirk. Same thing with Ingram. I don't think you're going to cut Evan Ingram. There's only about $6 million in savings there, and to me, Ingram is much more valuable than that. Can you restructure anybody else to get you more than the salary cap room you currently have? And then your in-house free agents, about a dozen of them, not big names, but 2 starters, right? Brandon Sheriff, Andre Sisco, are both set to hit free agency in 13 days. What do you want to do about Sheriff and Sisco? I think conventional thinking is the Sheriff is probably gone. Not that he's necessarily a bad player, but he's 33, right? You can go younger, cheaper at right guard. Sisco's an interesting one because there are safeties everywhere in free agency. And I think you can certainly upgrade over Andre Sisco. Now, the question is, when it comes to Andre Cisco, was he just bad last year, or was he in a bad scheme under Ryan Nielsen? Because Cisco was a good player in 2022 and 2023. He had a bad year in 2024. Again, is that regression, or was he set up to fail by Ryan Nielsen and that defensive staff? That's something Anthony Campanile, Liam Cohen, and James Gladstone are going to have to figure out here in the next 13 days before he is scheduled to hit free agency. So more on the Jaguars, more on the draft. Again, you talk about draft capital. The Jaguars have 10 picks in this year's NFL draft. 6 of those picks are in the top 125. Look, say what you will about Trent Baalke, and goodness knows I've said it all. He left you in pretty good standing when it comes to the draft. You got Brian Thomas Jr. last year and an extra 3rd and an extra 4th in the 25 draft from the Vikings. So 10 picks, 6 in the top 125, and, of course, the number 5 selection overall. Ian Valentino at NFL Draft Study on social media. You can follow his work at the 33rd Team and with A2ZSports.com. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Liam Cohen. Let's talk about the number 5 overall selection, but let's also look at the draft class as a whole. Positions of strength, positions of weakness. Ian Valentino at NFL Draft Study on social media up in Indianapolis. He's next on a Tuesday evening here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. With Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Jacksonville, we're taking you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here. 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
For many, it's the happiest place on earth.
At 17 in Players Championship.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling.
And Beaver Toyota.
On 1010XL.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99. And get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein and Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein and Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location at World Golf Village or visit AckermanUrology.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
The Beach Boys, Endless Summer Gold. Saturday, March 8th at St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Obviously, it's been a crazy offseason to this point. Liam Cohen, the brand new head coach, a brand new staff, Tony Baselli, the EVP of football operations. We have arrived at the scouting combine portion of the offseason, and heck, NFL free agency is basically 2 weeks away. There is a ton to get into with that. Ian Valentino of A to Z Sports, also the 33rd team, does a terrific job covering the NFL and the NFL draft, and Ian's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ian, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Ian, we always appreciate it. Know you're busy this time of year. All right, Liam Cohen, let's begin right there. The brand new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was not exactly the cleanest coaching search here in Jacksonville by any stretch of the imagination, but where it landed, what's your thought on Liam Cohen's arrival here to Northeast Florida?
I think it's a pretty exciting addition. Look at the stops that he's been at, which, you know, you can kind of maybe grumble or question about why hasn't he stayed in one place too long. But the positive of him not being in one spot for too long is that you've seen tangible results every time that he gets somewhere. And you see a dynamic change, not only from what happens on the field, but also I think for personnel and the outlook for those personnel after he leaves those spots. A lot of guys have career years, and most importantly, that's a quarterback. And so looking at what Trevor Lawrence needs to do to kind of get back in the good graces of, I think, everyone in the NFL world is someone like Liam Cohen. I think he comes in, he makes things easier. He's going to maximize offensive line and wide receiving core that could certainly use, I think, a little bit more talent in there. But there's always going to be a duality there where you have to have better coaching, you have to have better talent. I think he at least brings the coaching part. He's obviously, as a younger guy, going to have to prove that he can handle the head coaching role. But that's always the risk that comes with these things. And so give him a little bit of grace to grow and to learn on the job a little bit. And I think schematically and also as a personality, he seems to be a little goofy, which is fun. But it could also be very endearing and really rally a young locker room that is going to be seeing some change, I think, this offseason.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And Ian, we've talked a lot here in the last month or so about the Sean McVay coaching tree. And you look at the offensive minds off of that tree, whether you're talking about Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati, Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota, and now Liam Cohen here in Jacksonville. What is it about that tree? Why do the guys that come off of that tree, why are they so successful?
It is interesting. It's fascinating to see how the personalities of each of those guys is somewhat linked together too. Like they're all a little bit less traditional, I think, than you'd have with older NFL head coaches. Like they seem much more open to innovative ideas. They all tend to predicate their offense around more dynamic concepts, especially in the run game. They try to make things easier for the quarterback by giving motion and then kind of working through reads that are practical but not so predictable that you could just as a defense kind of know exactly what's coming. So they tend to take a couple of key concepts and then build an offense around a couple of key concepts. It looks a lot more fancy and more done up than maybe what it really is, but it's incredibly effective because it's hard to game plan for those things if you can do them extremely well. So I think McVay does a great job of getting the right personalities to embrace change and to adapt on the fly, but then he also instills this mantra of we can beat the opponent to death if we can just hammer out these basic concepts and then tack onto it to build around our playmaking. So he does. It's just a really unique case study, and I am interested to see over time how each of these next coaches builds out their own coaching trees after seeing McVay do it so well.
Ian Valentino, the 33rd team and A to Z Sports, covering the NFL draft with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. And you look at what the staff, Ian, that Liam Cohen has put around him. 29-year-old Grant Udinski, right? You got 42-year-old Anthony Campanile, a 34-year-old quarterback coach in Spencer Whipple. I mean, I'm all for a youth movement, but does it concern you at all maybe how young this staff in Jacksonville is?
Yeah, I tend to prefer the first-time head coaches that are able to bring in 1, 2, 3 former head coaches somewhere along the staff, even if it's as senior analyst or someone that can come in as a consultant. You just want a little bit of experience in the room to be able to rely on. And those are the kind of growing pains that I mentioned a little bit earlier, where you want to learn side by someone. And it's no disrespect to the guys that he's brought in. I'm sure they're tremendous. I'm sure they'll do a great job. But that experience does matter, and you see it even with the experienced coaches, right? Like Mike Vrabel goes out and gets former head coaches onto his staff. Nick Sirianni did the same thing, bringing in Vic Fangio. So it's not a place of weakness to be able to bring in some experience. You definitely want the cutting-edge mind, and you want the bright young guy who's going to do something amazing. But sometimes that backfires too, because you look at like Bobby Slowick in Houston. Obviously, he got fired after his second year as offensive coordinator. He was in the Cohen mix last year, where he could have been he could have been a head coach. And so things change very quickly, especially for young guys, and you don't want it to get overwhelming. You're going to be cautiously optimistic, but I do think there's going to be points where he may be looking at an opportunity to add to some a little bit more of a veteran presence to that staff and find some value in it.
All right, Ian, let's begin focusing on the draft. I mean, look, Trent Baalke did not make any friends here in Jacksonville, but what he left the Jaguars with is pretty good in regards to this year's draft. 10 draft picks, 6 in the top 125, and obviously the Jaguars' first selection will be number 5 overall in round number 1. Just a mile-high view, how would you assess this year's draft class?
It's not very deep. NIL has definitely affected the classes that we're starting to get. We're starting to see guys who are maybe fringe first rounders and day 2 guys go back to school almost across the board. It's actually pretty uncommon to see someone who might have been like a second or third round pick come out now. Now they're almost more of a guarantee to go back to school. So you have to hit on your early round picks, and it's good that you've got picks in the 100 and top 25 picks, because after really the first 15 in the first round, I'd say 10 to 15 talents in the first round, it's all kind of guys that can be very dependent on where they go. So not a lot of star power outside of the first couple of picks, and then that depth just continues to whittle away very, very quickly. And I think once you get to that early day 3 part, now you almost want to just punt on those picks or just take really big maybe I would say risks, but there's very low risk with those picks. But go for the athletic guys that you're especially going to want to be interested in, because there's just not a lot of talent like the 6th, 7th round, stuff like that. Those guys are not going to have a great chance to stick.
Now, let me ask you this. Obviously, when it comes to the Jaguars and the 5th overall selection, we've seen a lot of mock drafts, and they're coming out, more and more periodically as we get closer. And there have been a couple of guys linked to Jacksonville, but I think by and large, the main guy that's been linked here is Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. Your thoughts on Graham, Ian, and how you think he would fit in here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, he's a great prospect. He checks a lot of boxes. You want to get interior pressure. I think that's the number one thing the NFL has learned is that it's the hardest thing to find. As great as these edge rushers are, and they are, like Abdul Carter is probably the best prospect in the class, but especially looking at Jacksonville's needs and what they already have on the roster, they're missing that. They're missing a guy in the middle who can cause havoc and make everything easier for everyone around him. And so I think looking at what he did at Michigan, he was the engine of that defense, and it was a great defense. They had talent all over, but he collapsed the pocket, made everything easier, was stout in the run game despite not being a huge hulking guy, which we love that because it shows that he is low coming off the ball, keeps his pads low. He's a great technician. He's very aware. So you're looking at a high IQ player with great athleticism. It's just hard to miss on guys like that. And I think that level of playmaking and that high floor is what makes him so easy to project to Jacksonville, because not only do they have the need, but that's the type of guy that they've kind of missed on throughout the years, like because of that floor and maybe not necessarily accounting for, well, if he's not exactly what we're hoping for, can he still stick? Well, with Graham, yeah, because he's at least going to be a good pass rusher. He's at least going to be a good run defender. Like there's not a lot of concerns there for me. So I think he's a convenient guy, but I think if he even gets past New England, I think that's part of the question, because New England's going to be looking at the same argument to go get him. So he's going to be very valued through like that 4th to probably 8th or 9th pick. And so that's a really tight window for him to be taken.
We like quarterbacks, Ian, here in Jacksonville, picking number 5, because any quarterback that goes in the top 4 means it's going to push talent down the board. What are we thinking about Cam Ward and or Shedeur Sanders? One, both, none? How would you assess those guys in the top 4?
I think they both go. I do. I think there's, rightful kind of head scratching as to whether these guys are franchise guys, but at the end of the day, you need to get a quarterback. And it's hard for Tennessee, and I think Cleveland, and especially the Giants. You can't walk out of this draft without one of these guys, as long as they check the boxes that you want them to. I think on the film, you can easily make an argument for these guys becoming at least average starters, if not better. And then it's kind of up to the coaching staff to get the most out of them. I don't think it's the 2022 draft where it was like Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. I've seen people say that. I don't think that's the case. These guys have a lot more credentials to their name. They've won in several different spots. It's kind of the benefit of guys transferring around, is we've seen them in different scenarios have great success. And I think that bodes well for both of them. And then look at the situation for each franchise individually. They are just so desperate for star power. It doesn't help a lot when you've got Myles Garrett. If you're Cleveland, you just saw that having a Hall of Fame edge rusher really didn't help your team win a whole lot. You need a quarterback. So it's an odd argument to me to sit there and say they should take another pass rusher when that's not something that's determined them winning or losing playoff games. They need a quarterback. In Tennessee, they're a little bit further away, but I still think the argument still remains. As a coaching staff, they almost got fired after 1 year. You got to take a quarterback. If you don't get the quarterback right, you're going to get fired anyways. Then the Giants, they're going to be in a really tough spot unless they reach on someone like Jackson Dart. And if that happens, Jacksonville can really do backflips because they'll basically have their pick of the litter.
Final moments, Ian Valentino, A to Z Sports, and also the 33rd team with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ian, as we make the turn for home, Mason Graham has been mocked here the most, as we talked about. The other guys that you see, there's some concerns. Will Johnson, his teammate from Michigan, I've seen him to Jacksonville quite a bit at number 5, but there are injury issues there. And then McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, is interesting, and I'm curious your thoughts. Some of the guys that I talked to are unbelievably high on McMillan, while some other guys I talked to are very lukewarm, and I mean very lukewarm on him. Where do you stand with McMillan from Arizona?
I'm higher on him than not. I think he's a really good prospect. I see a lot of Mike Evans to his game. He's not quite as thickly built as Evans was coming out. I think he's probably 15 pounds lighter. So that's not insignificant, but he plays similarly. I love how he plays. Like, you get him the ball in space, he looks like a guy who is probably 5 inches shorter and 20 pounds lighter. And so a guy that moves like that is automatically going to be in a very unique space in the NFL stratosphere. And I think Jacksonville could use that, right? Like, I think Trevor Lawrence needs a guy with that type of frame who can go get the ball. He plays physically, but he's like a gazelle with the ball in his hands too. And so it's just, you don't see that too often. He carried an Arizona offense that really plummeted as they lost a lot of their staff and the scheme from the year before. And so he had to carry a tough situation there. And I think looking at his progression throughout college and then going into the NFL, I think it's just going to be easy for him. Like, I don't see him really struggling with a lot of different aspects. So for me, I don't have any concerns about him. I think the question is whether he's, is he a Justin Jefferson type? Well, it's always hard to maybe project that type of guy, but I could easily see him being that Pro Bowl type of presence who you build an offense around. And especially for Lawrence, because he's not the most accurate and pinpoint guy, I think he is that type of guy that you want to give Lawrence because there's so much more room for error with that huge frame.
Do you have injury concerns about Will Johnson?
Yeah, I think you worry not only about the injury, but his willingness to play through the injury. Like I don't want to be too critical of a guy that won a national title, came back because he had to, because he couldn't, declare for the draft because of eligibility reasons. And then he sits out, a large part of the season, including, the biggest game of the year against Ohio State. Like, I know scouts don't like that. I can tell you that. Evaluators don't like that. He's dropping out, I think even of potentially the top 10 because of things like that. All that has to check boxes. So that's going to require a lot more homework. If he would have come back, played through injury, or at least, maybe shown a little bit more of what people want to see, I think he'd be a little bit more in the mix at 5. To be honest with you, I don't know that he's going to be in the mix at 5 unless Jacksonville just absolutely loves what they've gotten as far as their character checks with him. And not saying he's a bad character, but if you can take a Travis Hunter or you can take, a Will Johnson, you're probably going to take the guy with the A++ character over the guy that maybe sat out a game or two that you really would have liked to have seen him play.
Ian, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, the 33rd team, also A to Z Sports, where can they find your coverage?
Yep, over at Twitter or X, whatever we call it now, it's NFL Draft Study.
Ian, really appreciate the conversation. Thank you as always. I know you're busy, and we'll do it again soon, pal.
Thanks so much.
Your radio highlight reel.
Caught for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here for the best weight loss program that I've ever been on. The results speak for themselves. Over 100 pounds down in just 10 months. And what I've found myself now, I'm on the maintenance portion. Losing the weight is tremendous. It's about keeping the weight off. I still get the coaching. I still get the help I need, but I'm keeping the weight off thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. Guys, if it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, do yourself a favor. Do your family a favor. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. Awaken180weightloss.com. They help Mike Dempsey. They help Matt Hayes. And they help me. They've changed my life. They've probably saved my life. And I don't say that lightly. I was playing hide and seek. I was playing tag earlier today with a little hack. A year ago, that would have been a struggle for me. Not anymore. Awaken 180 weight loss. Go visit them. Go change your life at Awaken 180 weight loss.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web. Precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Experience the high-flying action truly unlike anything on the Supercross circuit at Daytona Supercross. Saturday, March 1st. Side-by-side intensity of Monster Energy AMA Supercross on the most demanding track of the circuit. Get close to the action as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets to Daytona Supercross, answer this. Who won the 450 final Supercross at Daytona in 2024? Text the winner's last name to 641-1010 now. Basketball.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Danielle Paul, senior basketball player and track and field athlete at Mandarin High. Danielle is a member of the Student Athlete Leadership Team and the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Danielle.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Yo, E.T. here, and beat the winter blues with fun activities in Clay County. Some of my personal favorites are a hands-on aquaponics class at Reparation Earth, or diving into the action at Nakima Anime Bar, where you can join weekly gaming and cosplay tournaments. Clay County always has something going on. Plan your next date at exploreclay.com and share the fun at #ExploreClay.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Oh, what a game. Georgia tried to give it away. They were the better team, clearly the better team for 36 minutes. And then they just played horrifically for about a 2-minute stretch there. Florida went on a 12-0 run, actually took the lead 80-78. But then Georgia is going to come back now and looks like they're going to win the game. It's not over yet. Georgia 86-83 over the Gators. 6 seconds to go. Georgia inbounding the ball. They're showing Kirby Smart on the sideline there. That's nice. So, look, the Georgia Bulldogs are going to beat Florida, it appears, unless something miraculous happens. And I don't know, Denmark. I mean, look, Florida missed like 12 free throws tonight. You know, you're not good enough to play average on the road, miss 12 free throws. Now, again, tournament games are not on the road. They're at neutral sites. You know, obviously, Georgia being at home certainly helped them. They've actually been pretty good at home under Mike White in his 3 years there in Athens. But is this a wake-up call? Is this Florida playing badly tonight? One of those nights? How would you summarize it?
Georgia couldn't miss the start, and even though Florida came back, it's just a lot, man. When Georgia shoots 70%, 80% from 3 and a half, it's hard to overcome. And I mean, I know Florida could come back and make it a game. I didn't think they were going to win. I mean, we saw LSU game. They went on a 22-6 run within a 6-8 minute span. But yeah, I mean, it's just too much to overcome. I don't think they were drinking too much of their Kool-Aid. It's hard to win in the SEC on the road. We've seen it time and time again from every team in the conference. And no, it's not a good loss. I don't think it's a wake-up call. I think they, respected the team. It's just Georgia was right high. It's just basketball sometimes.
Yeah, look, the SEC, there's a reason that Tennessee's got 5 conference losses, I believe, and they're projected to be a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's just one of those nights. And again, does it suck losing to Mike White? Yes, it does. Todd Golden was 6-0 against Mike White before this evening. He wasn't going to beat Mike White in every game. And if you tell Gator fan at the beginning of the year, oh, by the way, you're going to be 24-4 and ranked in the top 5 in America at the end of February, I think most Gator fans would have signed on the dotted line. So, look, you chalk this one up. I think it's a wake-up call. I think maybe reading your press clippings a little too much, being told how great you are. Georgia can't miss. Florida can't hit a free throw to save their life. A true road game. It will be interesting to see how they respond, because the last time they lost to Tennessee, they responded very well and won 6 games in a row, including that game against Auburn at Auburn. Florida's got 3 pretty tough games down the stretch, right? Texas A&M, Alabama, and Ole Miss. And look, if you beat Alabama on next Tuesday night in Tuscaloosa, this loss means absolutely nothing, because if you beat Alabama, you will be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament for whatever that means. And I told you this, Denmark, back in the day. 1 seed, 2 seed, or a 3 seed, none of that really matters to me. I just want to be a top 3 seed because, again, 16s have beaten 1s twice. 15s have beaten 2s a handful of times. 14 has beat a 3 more regularly, but still, it's very, very few and far between. If you're a top 3 seed, you're in fantastic shape. You should have a very easy round 1 game. And then you play a team in round 2 that is probably not ranked in the top 25. And then after that, in the Sweet 16, it's everybody for themselves. But as long as you're a 1 seed, a 2 seed, or a 3 seed, I think you're in good shape. That's what Florida will be. Barring an epic collapse, they would have to lose basically every game left on their schedule, and they still might be a 3 seed under that scenario. But give this one to the Dogs tonight. Georgia's going to win the game. Mike White's finally going to beat Todd Golden, and we'll see. Game day is going to be in Gainesville for Texas A&M and Florida on Saturday, an 8:30 tip on the SEC Network. Boy, Florida can't get off the SEC Network. For being a top 5 team in America, they're on the SEC Network like every night. They just simply cannot get off of the SEC Network. As far as the Jaguars go, back into them, the combine going on up in Indianapolis. Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 will join me coming up here in less than 15 minutes. We'll get Jamal's thoughts on everything that has transpired with the Jaguars. Again, Liam Cohen and James Gladstone both met the media earlier today. I thought both have been very impressive throughout this process. Gladstone, especially in the last couple of days since being introduced as the Jaguar general manager. And you talk about this draft class. We talked about it with Ian Valentino of NFL Draft Study a couple of minutes ago. You know, for picking number 5, like I saw Mel Kiper Jr. put his mock draft 2.0 out today. Mock draft 1.0, you're kind of throwing stuff at a wall. 2.0, it's still early in the process, but we're only 2 months away. You start hearing some things. And Mel Kiper had Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, going number 1 to the Tennessee Titans, which I thought was interesting. He had Cam Ward going 2 to Cleveland, Travis Hunter 3 to the New York Giants, Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, going number 4 to LSU, and Denmark Kuiper had Mason Graham going number 5 to Jacksonville. Again, you always see Mason Graham. He's been the most mocked guy to the Jaguars. And based on what Gladstone has said in building up the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, I think that leads credence to the fact that Mason Graham would be the ultimate pick there if he's available at number 5.
Yeah, probably, unless something happens with Will Campbell and they, lean offense. I think it's probably going to be Mason Graham if I had to bet right now. The question kind of wonders if Abdul Carter somehow falls to 5, which I highly doubt it does. But in a scenario where 3 quarterbacks go and somebody, New England wants Travis Hunter at 4, that's where the conversation really gets going. Do you want Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, or Mason Graham? That's where, where you start scratching your head and you go, what do you do? But I do think Mason Graham, highly favorite to land here at 5.
If it's Travis Hunter or Mason Graham, they're both available at 5, what would you do?
I'd go Travis Hunter.
See, I'd go Mason Graham. And it'd be very tempting to go Travis Hunter. I watched Philadelphia, man. I watched those big guys on the line of scrimmage just absolutely eat the Kansas City Chiefs for breakfast and eat basically every offense they played for breakfast. And the idea of Mason Graham with Trayvon Walker, with Hines Allen, with Mason Smith, who came on at the end of last year, with Eric Armstead back in his natural position, is very appealing. Now, Travis Hunter is also appealing, but big guys, man. I just think you look at what Gladstone in L.A. did last year. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, back-to-back. That would be a good problem to have. If you have the option of Travis Hunter or Mason Graham, that would be a good problem to have. I don't believe it's going to fall that way. I would hope it does. I don't believe it will. But I think right now, 2 months out, I still think Mason Graham is the pick at number 5. Let's talk more Jaguars with my buddy Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. He joins me next on a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark rolls on right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Injecting Duval with your daily dose of insightful sports talk.
It's called radio.
1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Janice. I'm a coach at Awaken 180 Weight Loss. When a client reaches the goal that they've set, they are so proud of themselves. They are so thrilled with how they look and how they feel. They are ready to take on the next thing. And that's one thing about weight loss. It's so much more than a number on a scale. It's about self-respect. It's a momentum thing. Now that I've lost 50 pounds, wow, there's no reason why I can't do this next thing that initially seemed so daunting, but now I know I can do it. The celebration is not just how much better you look and feel, but how much more self-respect you have. We get on a track of success at Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Losing weight with Awaken 180 isn't about the number on the scale. It's about how that number spearheads endless success. Bring your goals to Awaken 180, then celebrate when you check off each and every one of them. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason.
stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air & Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Amelia Tucker, senior varsity track and field and soccer player at Wilson High. Amelia is involved with student government and is a member of the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Amelia.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Mia O'Brien here for Pro Jacks Roofing. Here at the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro Jacks Roofing. Mike's been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get a recording, you get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell on ProJacksRoofingFL.com. That's ProJacksRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third string option. Call in the starter with Mike at Pro Jacks Roofing.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NFL Scouting Combine going on this week up in Indianapolis. Of course, free agency now inside of 2 weeks away, and we formally got introduced to General Manager James Gladstone. Let's talk about the new GM of the Jaguars. Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 was in attendance down at the Miller Electric Center for the introductory press conference, and Jamal is always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Jamal, how we doing, man?
I'm doing great. What's going on, Hacker? Appreciate you having me on, man.
Hey, Jamal, we always thank you for joining us. All right, lots transpired in the 3 weeks since you and I talked. We got a brand new offensive coordinator that's 29 and a brand new general manager that's 34. You talk about the youth movement. It is in full effect. Your initial thoughts on James Gladstone?
You know, look, we sit in the press conference, got the chance to talk to James a little bit after the press conference. And it's easy to understand maybe why they went that route. I could see how he could wow you in the interview. He definitely gives off, I mean, there's definitely a vibe to him. You can tell he's a very intelligent guy. And he's definitely done some good things. And when you start talking to the people about the references that he was getting from Les Snead and Sean McVay inside that Rams organization for the work he was doing there, and some of the stuff that Liam Cohen was able to see firsthand during his time with the Rams, you can understand why they feel comfortable making him the general manager of this team.
Jamal, they're all in on the youth movement. I mean, Heath Farwell is the elder statesman of the coordinators, the coach, and the GM, and he's 43 years old. And certainly a lot's been made of that. I know Liam Cohen and James Gladstone were asked about it. You've covered the league for a while. What's your opinion?
I still think when Liam Cohen was putting together the staff, I thought, hey, they need to hire the guy that's been there, done that, right? And I still think there's a possibility maybe they could make something like that happen. You make him a senior assistant or whatever, just a former head coach that's in the building to answer questions. But look, overall, I don't hate what they've done, Hacker. As much as I want to be concerned that they don't know, look, the Jaguars knew what they were getting with Doug Peterson and his staff. He had Mike McCoy on there, former head coach. He had people that had been around the league and all this experience, and look how it turned out. I mean, we've seen this song and dance, and they try. I mean, you've been here. You've seen the team. You've seen the struggles. And at some point, you know what? They said, look, if zigging ain't working, let's zag. And they've zagged this time, and they went all in on it. So there's a youth movement. They're changing. It's going to be different. Trent Baalke was the old school GM traits guy. And James Gladstone says, I'm looking for intangibles, baby. I don't care about arm length. He's looking for guys that are going to come in and be just themselves, and that's just enough. So it's different. This is going to be a different team. They're building a different culture, and every second they get a chance to remind you that they're building something different, they say that. Look, I as much as I'm concerned about maybe the lack of experience, you know what? Sometimes lack of experience can be good because you don't know what you shouldn't do yet. So you haven't built bad habits. I mean, we see that, I talk about that with TV when we bring in some of these people we talk about trying to evolve this business and change what we've done because the media landscape has changed and they're hiring people with no experience or less experience. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing because they haven't built the old habits that you have to break. So maybe bringing in these fresh faces that maybe don't have the prototypical experience now with the league changing and we talk about new eras of leagues and analytics and all this other stuff, you don't have to worry about them breaking those bad habits and going back to saying, well, that guy has short arms though. He was never worried about it to begin with. So I'm not that concerned with it at this point, Hacker. I really think they've put together a good group. I mean, only time will tell. They're going to be judged by wins and losses, but look, I'm pretty pleased with what they got.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Jamal, I completely agree with you. I said last week it's the most un-Jaguar thing they've done in 13 years, which is probably a good thing because a majority of the last 13 years have been dreadful, and they've kind of gone against everything we've known them to do for the last decade plus in bringing in Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and these coordinators and Baselli as the EVP, and I really like the direction. And look, as far as the press conference goes, it was a press conference in February. All right, I'm not hoisting a Lombardi trophy yet. But having said that, for it being a press conference in February, Jamal, I was impressed not only with Gladstone, I was impressed with Baselli. Heck, I was impressed with what Tony Khan had to say. I thought from the Zoom press conference that Schott and Baalke had 6-7 weeks ago, which was a nightmare, to what we saw earlier this week at the Miller Electric Center, you want to talk about a 180-degree difference. Goodness gracious, how much things can change in 6 or 7 weeks.
It's like they got this thing on the right track now, ain't it? It is strange. I mean, the complete flip. They did that Zoom press conference where like, what's going on? This just looks uncomfortable. And then now, I mean, you can see these guys up on the kind of desk in front of the room and they're smirking and making inside jokes at each other while questions are getting asked and they're not even having to think about it. Look, I think they've got a group that's on the same page, Hacker. I really do. I think that this youth movement is going to be something. We're going to see how it works out. But I think they're going to go lock and step, and I think they really believe that they're going to be able to collaborate and build something together. I got a chance to talk to James Gladstone after his press conference, and I mean, The guy literally believes everything lock and step. Look, he wore the teal suit during the press conference, Hacker.
Yeah.
I asked him if he picked that out, if he went and got it, or if the wife got it for him. He says it was in the back of his closet, and he was just glad it still fit. Who just has a teal suit just hanging out in the back of the closet? Look, fate. I don't know if you believe in it, but I'm just saying he already had the teal suit on hand, Hacker. It don't get much better than that.
Yeah, look, here's the bottom line, too. No, I love everything that's being said, and I love the hire. I really do. But now it's time to get to work. And the crazy thing is, I mean, they're up in Indianapolis the rest of the week. I mean, they got free agency in 2 weeks. And I want to get your thoughts on that in a moment. But how much behind the 8 ball do you think the Jaguars are because of the late hire here?
I asked Tony Boselli and James Gladstone that today, and both of them said they do not feel like there's any outside pressure or any like they're behind the 8 ball and that it's going to be chaotic or anything like that at all. Tony Boselli took that moment to applaud the work that Ethan Waugh and their staff has already been doing on the draft process and the homework. And he said it's not like they have to throw all that stuff out and start from scratch. And that James Gladstone said the similar kind of statement that he's already been doing some of this work and a lot of it comes into play already. But his first steps are evaluating what the Jaguars have on their current roster and getting ready for free agency, because that is the next big hurdle. And he has to know what they already have on the team, right? But they do not feel like they're behind the 8 ball at all. I asked them both. They both said the same thing, that they feel like they're in a good space and that it's not going to be any sort of rushed process at all.
Final moments, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Let's talk about free agency. Let's talk about 2 in-house guys. You would save a lot of money, Jamal, if you were to release both of these guys. I do not believe both will be released. I think there's a chance one will be. Let's begin with Evan Ingram. I think you'd save like $6 million. For the life of me, I can't see them doing that, but that's at least a conversation that's out there. What's your thought?
I think I'm assuming your 2 guys are Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, Hacker.
Correct.
I think they need to restructure them to get those deals to be a little bit more cap friendly for sure. But releasing them to clear the cap space, while yes, it is attractive and would give them a ton of more flexibility, I think overall the key to this thing, and they've talked about it and we'll talk about it and everybody is in agreement, is that they have to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. And no matter where you think these guys are at their career in their careers, it's tough to replace what they're going to bring to the offense out there on the field, whether they're well paid or not. So it's tough to find, like Brenton Strange played well, but he's not the receiving option that Evan Ingram is. Parker Washington played well, but he still hasn't reached the stature in his career that Christian Kirk has when he's healthy. So there's no way around it. If you move on from one of those guys, you're taking a slight downgrade. So, I think restructuring's on the table, but moving on from those guys, I think that's just a tough pill to swallow when you're trying to sit here and figure out how you can put more weapons around Trevor and not less.
I think it's a fascinating thing because, I mean, for the first time since 2013, when Dave Caldwell and Gus Bradley came in, it's a clean slate. I mean, none of these guys were drafted, obviously, by James Gladstone. None of them played for Liam Cohen. So it's literally a clean slate for all these guys. But yet I tend to agree with you. And looking at the free agent wide receivers, you're not going to get T. Higgins, right? Because he's going to be franchised more than likely in Cincinnati. Outside of T. Higgins, I don't know if there's a better option than Christian Kirk. So, again, if you release him, I don't think you can upgrade there, which kind of puts you in a quandary.
Right. And that's the hard part. And maybe you can get somebody in the draft, but I mean, how much weight do you really want to put on a rookie? You really don't know what you're going to get from Gabe Davis, since last year was kind of rough there. So, I mean, what you don't want is to set yourself up to have the wide receiver room take a step back. If I had to pick one of the 2, I'd have the deepest conversation about Evan Ingram, because the question is, and I honestly don't know the answer to this question right now, what kind of tight end does Liam Cohen see in his offense? Because Evan Ingram isn't necessarily your traditional inline kind of tight end. He's not that big road grader in that run game. I mean, he's a serviceable blocker, but he's not that guy. So in his vision of this offense, does Brenton Strange give him more ambiguity? So when teams can't tell exactly what you want to do, because you can line him up in line and then send him out for a pass, and you can line him up in line and have him pick up a defensive end. Does that fit more what he wants? Does he want that big body tight end? I don't know the answer to that right now. So I think that's the discussion and the question of what kind of personnel does Cohen want on his offense, and does Evan Ingram fit that?
Jamal, as we begin to wrap up, again, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4, the Jaguars only have about a dozen in-house free agents. Only 2 of them are starters, Brandon Sheriff and Andre Sisco. The conventional thinking is that both guys are probably gone in a couple of weeks. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's probably right up the alley of where it's going to go. If I was going to bring one back or consider it, I'd probably consider Sisco. Out of the 2, I just don't think he had maybe the banner year that he was expecting. So I think the price tag on his services has probably gone down considerably. So you could probably bring him in rather than opening up another spot that you got to fill in free agency at a hefty price tag, right? And I mean, look, last year was a bad year for him, but the defense as a whole struggled. We've seen this guy play football, and there's a reason why a lot of people thought he was going to be getting a high-paid contract this coming off season, right? So with a new defensive staff coming in, if Coach Camp thinks that he can get something out of Andre Sisco and they can get him on that 1-year prove-it deal kind of bargain basement contract, I'd bring Sisco back.
How active, Jamal, do you think the Jaguars are going to be come March 10th in free agency?
New GM, new head coach, they're going to get their guys, Hacker. They're going to get their guys that fit their brand of football. I think they're going to be as active as they can be. Obviously, they're not going to go and blow the bank up like they've done in some years past when they had a ton of cap space. But I do think they're going to go make some meaningful moves to go find and redefine what is a Jaguar guy and start trying to fill those holes. Because one way or another, this is a roster with holes on it. Don't get it twisted. So I think they're going to start plugging those, and I think they're going to start working quickly. And I think they're going to stretch that cap space as far as they can and try and clear up some more, maybe with a restructure or 2 along the way, to make sure that this roster is one that they feel comfortable with when week 1 is going to roll around.
Jamal, final question. You're as active on social media as I am. I mean, I'm sure you see the Jaguar fans out there. There's an excitement. And like I said, the 180-degree difference in the fan base as well from where they were 6 weeks ago to where they are today is night and day. Based on talking to you, it seems like you think there's merit to be excited for this fan base.
I really do. Look, Hacker, this is different. I think this is very different. I think Liam Cohen is a different kind of head coach than what they've had in a while. And I think he's going to take this offense a step forward. I think that this is going to be a coaching staff that the players are going to connect with better than maybe the previous coaching staff, which ultimately that is the name of the game these days, is how can you connect to those players and get the most out of them. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we hear coaches say that all the time, but it's tougher for you to prove that behind closed doors than it is for you to say it at a press conference. And I think this coaching staff is going to have the ability to do that and connect with these guys. I think they're going to implement that. I think that James Gladstone's going to change some of the philosophies that the Jaguars have used to build their team and draft on for a while. And I think that's good. I think when you look at how the Rams built their team and then they give James Gladstone a lot of credit for a lot of the work that they've done through the draft, it's tough not to believe that he's going to bring some of those principles and start hitting on some of these guys that, I mean, when we've talked about the draft in the past, Hacker, we were immediately crossing guys off the list like, he's not bulky built, he doesn't fit. And then he goes and he has success somewhere else. But we were immediately knew he wasn't coming to Jacksonville. And, we're getting beat up on social media because they're like, oh, this guy's great. And I'm like, well, he ain't coming here, so why would I waste my time doing it? I'm not going to put him in a mock draft when I know they won't do it. And he just doesn't fit their vision. So I don't think James Gladstone is going to do that same thing. I mean, I even asked him, is there anything like arm length or anything you worry about? He said, no, intangibles. You're going to see intangibles. Okay. I'm going to take your word for it. He's going after football players, Hacker. And that is one thing that I can get behind. Because at the end of the day, that's the name of the game. So I really think they've done something here. And I did like hearing from James Gladstone. I asked him about Les Snead's influence on him taking this job. And he said that if And I asked him about maybe his excitement, what made him comfortable coming here. And he said he didn't think that if Les Snead thought it was a bad situation, he would have pushed him to come and take this job and told him it was time for him to go be a GM. So that means he at least got Les Snead's one of the better general managers in the league, and he got some kind of blessing from him to say, hey, you're my guy, and I think this is going to set you up for success to go have a career as a general manager. So, to me, that's a cosign as opposed to where we were before talking about that coach or whoever's not going to want to come to Jacksonville because they don't want to work with that guy. So I think it's a breath of fresh air. It's different. It's changed quick, but it just seems like they're on a different path now.
That was my motto for the 2025 Jaguars. We need shirts made up. It's different, which I don't know if that means good or not. We'll find out in September. But for the next 6 months, it's different than what we've had here, which anything different from the last 13 years is a good thing. Jamal, tell us what you have coming up.
Sign me up for different.
Yeah, man, no question.
Sign me up for different.
Tell me what you have coming up on Channel 4.
Hey, we're counting down to the River Run. Hey, we got big River Run coverage coming your way on Saturday. So we'll be showing the whole thing live over on Channel 4, and then we're just getting ready for the draft, Hacker. It's that time of year.
50 days since the Jaguar season ended, and it doesn't even seem like we've had an off season to this point. It has been wild. Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Jamal, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks.
Hey, appreciate you having me on, Hacker. Anytime, man.
Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
And thank you to Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to recap what's been a crazy 24-hour period, 30-hour period. James Gladstone met the media here in Jacksonville yesterday. He was up in Indianapolis today. The combine on the field work begins Thursday, and NFL free agency is now less than 2 weeks away as the Jacksonville Jaguars have their general manager, their coaching staff, their EVP of football operations all in place here as we get to the end of February into the beginning of the month of March. So we certainly spent a lot of time on that, on James Gladstone, on Liam Cohen. Again, they both met the media earlier today at the scouting combine. Really appreciate all the work that Hayes Carline, Mia O'Brien, and certainly Frank Frangie have done up there with one-on-one interviews and such. And look, it's all Jaguars all the time this time of year as decisions have to be made, interviews have to be conducted as they try to put together this 2025 Jaguar roster. Well, that will just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Always appreciate Jamal stopping by. Thank you to Ian Valentino. You can follow him on X at NFL Draft Study. He's with A to Z Sports and the 33rd team. One of my favorites when it comes to talking draft. Appreciate Ian taking time out for us. And back in hour number 1, JB Long, the radio play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Rams, as we did a deep dive into the time of both Liam Cohen and James Gladstone out in Los Angeles. And we certainly appreciate the voice of the LA Rams, JB Long, for joining us here in Jacksonville tonight on Hacker After Dark. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
To play a championship.